And we are live on the drive. Well, look at this carload while I am moving. We're moving Katsa to Moon Babes. So, and we're going into the new Earth home. This is what we're calling it. So we're going to continue this conversation. I'm going to give you guys a minute to jump on. I know these are like not necessarily scheduled times, but we're working with what we got with the things that are coming on. So hi lovelies, hi, and also for everybody that's tuning in that's new, that hasn't been on, I do have the auto steering situation, so we're safe. We're live and driving safely, if that's a thing. The drive-in live, we're gonna have to like do more of this. I don't know. Anyways, let's talk about the things that we're here to talk about. So there are people that are trying to navigate Ascension, that are navigating Ascension through the eyes and the words and the thoughts and the feelings of others. And those others may not necessarily be in understanding of what's happening through them, okay? And a lot of people, I'm saying this in a very, I want to say it in a very non-judgmental way, because I do realize that there's a lot of people that try and do their best, but they're just like misinformed, or they don't know better, right? One of the things that my mentor Gary always taught me, and it's a really hard lesson, is you can't expect anybody to be where they're not. You can't, right? Like people, you can't expect people to be somewhere that they're not, because they just don't have that level of understanding quite yet. So everybody is doing the best that they can with what they got. I do believe that, and I believe that some people are just misinformed. And in that, they end up spreading a bunch of terrorizing things. So there's a bunch of people out there that are like scared of Ascension. And the more that I understand that these are the things and the information that's being put out there, now I understand why I get messages, and so many of you are like really struggling, having a hard time, that you don't know what's going on and you don't want to be left behind, and that like these kinds of things. Not accurate, okay? Not accurate. Like when you read things from these big accounts, especially that are, reposting people's stuff, you really have to make sure that you look at it through the eyes of your soul, and that you intake the content that feels like it's in alignment with where you're at, okay? Remember historically that religions and religions institutions, this is how they got people to listen and to pay attention, is through fear. Fear is a very, very effective method of control. I mean, shit, our government does it now, right? Like, it's based on fear. Systems based on fear. So when they can scare the fuck out of you and tell you, oh my God, like, you don't do this, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. You're like, what the fuck is going on? What's happening to our world? Then you're in fear. It doesn't serve anybody, which is why I'm speaking up about it, because clearly New Earth is not a place of fear. It's a place of love. And you only get there when you are in a state of love, okay? Now, that doesn't mean, love in a way that it's in alignment, right? In higher love, not like blind love and then go down the wrong way, if that makes sense. I hope that this is making sense. Oh my gosh, we need some air conditioning because my windows are up. It's starting to get warm. Okay, so what happens is people have different experiences of the unseen realms. Navigating the unseen realms, meaning everything that is to be seen and felt through your third eye when your pineal gland decides to be open, when you decide, okay? Because it's really not that big a deal. It's not I keep saying this, it's really not that big a deal. This is part of who we are. We can turn it on. We are in charge of our physical bodies, okay? We're in charge of our physical body. We're in charge of our mind. We're in charge of our spiritual existence on this planet. So no matter what happens on the outside, we can create our own reality inside, and we can turn our systems on. This is our job. This is not the government's job to give us, whatever, some antidote for some shit because they've been putting crap in the water. We could do the things anyways. Like, we're here to evolve. We're here to break the motherfucking system. We're not here to bitch about the things that are. We're here to create better. We're here to, get on top of it. We're here to raise the vibration. We're here to create a new earth. It doesn't even matter what the old structures are because we're creating new shit. Okay? So, okay. That being said, you're in charge, and we really have to get into this mindset of the fact that it doesn't matter that all this shit is going on. I mean, yes, it does matter, but in the moment of the way that we feel and in our creation, if we allow all of that fear to be a part of the creation mode that we're in, then it's not clean creation. It's not high vibe creation. It's not coming from highest alignment, higher self creation. It's not ultimate, the energy that you want to actually create from. You're pulling in sideways like all sorts of fear and old patterns and things like that because you feel like you have to jump in on new earth out of being scared of what's happening in the old earth. That's not how we do this. That's not how it works. Okay? So, okay, I digress. In the process of ascension, there comes a point where you realize you have to align all of your chakras. Then you have to unify all of your chakras. This is a big deal. A lot of light workers don't realize this. Okay, you have a chakra pillar. You go from separate chakras, which each have a different color, to a chakra pillar, which is like a rainbow bridge. Some people call it the rainbow bridge. They think it only starts here and it goes up. No, it goes through you from earth to heaven, okay? All of you. So when you do that, in the process of doing that, this is also what people call Kundalini awakening, okay? It goes boom, 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 boom. And it goes from your root chakra, which is where your Kundalini energy is, and it awakens, right? This life force energy awakens. It sends this impulse through your spine, and all of a sudden your heart chakra opens. What are chakras outside of pretty colorful disc roundy things that record the history of, your stories on earth? They are what connects you to yourself and everything unseen in etheric form, okay? So there's a reason why you have chakras, and they're not just to fucking get in alignment and balance. They're to use to exchange information with the unseen world. You gotta do that shit right, okay? So, all right, back to the thing. This is really we're gonna have to probably do some kind of a crash course because I'm going through stuff really fast. But the point is, Kundalini awakening, boom. You align your chakras, you balance them out, you figure all this shit out, you clear your past. Heart chakra opens. Heart chakra opens, oh my God, you begin to see love and light, light and love. You begin to understand new earth. 5D resides in access from your heart, okay? At that point, you begin to understand that there's more to it because all of this love is it's not that it's not enough, but it's not powered by the alignment kind of energy because love is everything, but it has to be pure love. It has to be alignment love. So you're like, okay, I gotta do some work. I gotta figure some shit out. And then you learn sovereignty. Oh my God, implants. Oh my God, all these things that are happening. Oh, there's so much misinformation. You have your major awakening, dark nights of the soul. Clear all that out. Then you connect. Very, very important. This is where we're getting to this misinformation stuff. You have to connect your brain and your heart. You have to connect your brain and your heart. If those two are not working together, and this is something that there's many people that speak about it very scientifically. So if you have not heard of this yet, heart-brain coherence, go look it up. Google heart-brain coherence. Greg Braden speaks about it very clearly. Heart Math Institute speaks about it very clearly. There's resources that are scientifically validated, so you can figure that out. Long story short, if this is not working, okay, you are not seeing, receiving, translating, connecting, transmuting the right information. What that also means, in addition to the fact that you have to have the rules of engagement, you need to understand if you're going to fuck with the higher planes, you need to know what you're doing in the higher planes. And I'm not saying fuck with, like, you know, like right now I'm really animated. But the point is, if you are going to play the unseen game and start channeling entities and opening up and doing all these things, you've got to know how to play the game here. You have to know how to handle yourself. If your heart and your brain are not in resonance, if your shit is not clear, if you are not absolutely drawing in your higher self energy, you're gonna get fucked with, okay? And what happens is these entities will say whatever the hell they want to say, and they'll twist you all around. Why? Because they know the rules better than you know the rules, which is why I'm so picky. Every time when we go astral travel, when we do the work that we do it right, that we do it by the rules, that we clear the space, that we use sacred geometry, that we use light, that we do all these things, because you can't go out there, pick up randoms. You also can't just space out in the astral planes without knowing where you're going, okay? You can't do that stuff. And then, I mean, you can, but then you come back and then you don't have all the pieces of your soul together. And you're like, what the hell? Like, I feel weird. And people have to have soul retrievals and integrations, and they're just not happy, okay? If you're not happy inside, something is up and you have to figure it out. If your natural state of being is not happy, you have to figure out, okay, what it is that you have to clear out, align with, integrate, balance out. Okay, so this is how the shit happens, is people are not really in alignment, and they go out there and they begin to talk to these entities. If your heart is not open, if when you call Archangel Michael, okay, which is one of our guys, if you call Archangel Michael, but you call him out of fear, not out of love. So if you're not in your heart before you call, okay, then you don't really know that that's Archangel Michael. Do you understand this? This is very important, okay? The only way that, like, how do you not think that there's a deception system out there? That's clearly a thing. I mean, our whole entire world is one of duality. There's good and bad, which is why a lot of people, a lot of light workers, when they first come into this, it's like, everything is light and love. Everything is not motherfucking light and love. You have to know what you're doing and where you're going. And you have to be in a state of light and love so that you attract light and love, right? Like, for example, I'm talking to you guys from this on fire place. If I was to call my angels from this place, there would be distortions because there's so much human emotion involved, right? So if I had to go and, get and talk to my higher self or talk to some of my angels after this conversation, I do some serious grounding, recalibrating. I have to get back in my zone, because in these moments I get so passionate that there's a lot of emotions, which is good, because then you guys feel me and understand that this is important and this is powerful stuff, right? But when you are going to the higher planes, you don't want to bring stuff that's not allowing you to be fully clear, okay? So a lot of people, when they first wake up and they open their eyes, they're like, oh my God, the world's going to shit. They figure out all these conspiracies and they're like, oh my God. And then they get scared. And then out of the scare, they begin communication with entities and with beings, okay? So they get told all sorts of shit. And all of these other things get put into philosophies and shit, okay? But those people always go back to who's talking about it. Go back to who they are, how they live their life, okay? Go back to the source. When these accounts point, they say something that sounds whatever, this could possibly be, there's enough truth in here that, shit makes sense. So if this is true and this is true, could this also be true, right? This is how it fucks with your brain when you don't know enough. You know that certain things are accurate, the words are buzzwords, they're ascension words or whatever, so you're like, well, this makes sense, so could it also be that these things are accurate? And then you're like, shit, right? Okay, so go and look at who wrote it. Google the name of the person, okay? Because some of these accounts, it's not their face, like I was saying in the other live. It's not you come with me, you talk to me about any of the things I teach you, and I will tell you exactly why and exactly what and exactly all of the things. because I've been there, done that myself. I understand all of these things, and I don't hide behind an account where I don't answer your messages. I've also messaged some of these people, they don't answer. But you know what? The accounts that have good intentions, like there's an account, she does amazing work. I think she reposts people things, and her name I think is Soul Guidance. And I've messaged her before just to say thank you, because she had reposted one of my posts, and all of a sudden it was like one of those accounts with like 500,000 followers or something like that, and like a ton. And so all of a sudden I saw this, like so many people that came to follow me. And so I said, thank you for sharing my message. You know, if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to help, because sometimes people repost my post, but they don't repost the thing in the comment or whatever in the, wait, is this my road? No, the next one. Learning the ways to the new house. So sometimes they don't repost the caption, they just repost the thing. And sometimes I feel fully responsible for the information that I put out. So I want to help people, because sometimes when people repost my things that say like 3D, 5D, 7D, or whatever, then there's no explanation. And so, they ask questions in these big accounts and whatever not. So long story short, I have messaged accounts with ridiculous amounts of followers, and when their heart is in the good place, they will get back to you, because you know why? They know how to have energetic boundaries, and they know their intentions are right, which means that their inbox doesn't get junk mail, it doesn't get hate mail. I don't get hate mail, right? Like, because it's not in alignment with who I am or with what I do. The people that don't answer, that's what happens, right? They get like things that they don't want to deal with, because they don't even know how to answer them. So you have to be smart about the people that you follow and the people that that continue to repost these things. There are people that are doing all sorts of crazy stuff. There's people that worship the motherfucking devil, and they think that they're doing the right thing out there. They will have you convinced if you don't know where you stand. I mean, that's what happens in Hollywood. It's just the kind of, you have to discern for yourself. It always goes back to that, which is why the best way that I can explain it to you is as a parent. This is why I teach you guys that. That's like the number one most valuable skill. Everything that I do is always teaches you to learn to know for yourself, because you have to be your own master. That's like the most invaluable skill. If I sat here and taught you things that bring you back to me, that's 3D. That's not 5D. That's not 7D. That's not higher dimensional consciousness, right? Like, we want to help each other to get to that next level, which means that you have to learn how to be sovereign to yourself, like how to claim your own power, like how to be in your power. So, okay, as a parent, those of you that are parents, and you can imagine this, right? If you're raising your child, the most valuable things that you can teach them in life is how to do things for themselves, right? Like how to tie your own shoes, how to wash your hands, successfully, how to wipe your bum, how to wash your hair. Like, you teach children, and then you teach them to look two ways when they need to go cross the streets. I feel like these are things I need to teach my chickens. My new chickens, good Lord, that's another story. But anyways, you teach them how to function, right? And then you teach them the rules of engagement in terms of when you go to school, right? This is what happens when you relation to other people. Well, it's the same thing. You teach your children how to be independent, how to be their own, you want to be your own boss of your own person, in a sense. You want to be in charge of yourself. This is the same thing. This is as a mama of this tribe, right? This is what I want for all of you, is to feel independent, to feel in charge, to feel in the know, and to go and once you find that, and I know that I'm here to help support that happen, but that's why when I say, those of you that know these things, you have to share the good stuff. Do you see how much there's a need for sharing of the good stuff? You can't hide anymore. So the moment that you get to that point where you're like, okay, I can stand on my own 2 feet. I know what I'm doing. I know how to discern things. I know what's, consciousness and unconsciousness. I need to share some light. I need to share more of my light. And that's really important right now, because clearly there's a lot of people that are sharing a lot of things that are not not necessarily of the light. And it gets tricky, it gets confusing. So if you don't know for yourself how to discern these things, you know, don't read those posts. I don't know how to explain them. Like, I will, meeting the neighbors, I will read some of these things because I follow certain hashtags, right? And so in the hashtags, like raise your vibration, you know, people hashtag that. And so posts come through and I'm like, what the hell, like, are these people saying? But it doesn't mean that because it's hashtag raise your vibration, that's really what it's doing. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, begin to really understand and connect your heart and your brain and learn to decipher these things, okay? There is always a dark system for a good system. There is always like a black and a white. There's always a yin and a yang. There's always like, because we live in polarity, we live in separation. So that exists and that is true, okay? I think this is gonna cut out here. So we're gonna pull over and finish this shot because this hill kind of cuts out. So there will always be, let's park the car. There will always be like, you know, the positive agenda and then the negative agenda. Why? Why does this happen? Because there are entities like energy siphoning is a thing. Energy alignment is a thing. You are a battery. I teach about this stuff in depth in the mastermind. You are a human battery. You emit frequency that literally can be like felt in like the center of the galaxy, which is 27 degrees Sagittarius, okay? Like all the way, like if you look at the map of the stars, you're powerful energetically. There are many entities out there that want to suck up your energy, and you have to learn how to work with it, okay, for yourself, for your own highest alignment and benefit. You can't just like, see what I'm saying? So, which is also why people get stuck dealing with like dark energies and dark entities, because there's an exchange. There is an exchange. Whenever you work with angels or whenever you work with demons, there's an exchange of energy, right? Like, whose bidding are you doing? Because ultimately what you want to do is you and you and you and your higher self, and that's it, right? It's you, your higher self, creator of all that is, prime creator, right? That's really where you want to go. And then there's all sorts of beings that are angelic, and there's all sorts of beings that are demonic, just like in the world. There's all sorts of good guys, there's all sorts of bad guys, just like in the astral planes or in the star beings, right? All sorts of good people, all sorts of bad people. This is our universe, and this is what we're working with. So this is the biggest part of the message, and I'm trying to see. So to what was he talking about? He was talking about the shape of the flower of life. This gets distorted a lot. I'm trying to think if there's any other notes I can make here. The flower of life, the way that I found, the reason why I know what I know is because I've been meditating forever. And I will have to tell you guys my story of like these things, but in another segment, in another live at some point. But I was shown specific things in my life. If you see the way that my life has evolved, and the things that I've known and the things that I've known and the ways that I've been able to do the things, it just, like, you feel it. And also you just feel it. You feel my energy. And so you know, right? We have to get to that point where it's not like anybody needs to prove anything or tell you anything to convince you of anything. In fact, I don't ever convince anybody of anything or need to prove anything, because it's a matter of vibration, right? It's where I am at. When one does the work, you can feel it. You can feel it in their energy. You can feel it in their vibration. That's why people like to be around people that vibe high and that do the work. Are we back? You guys, the phone overheated. Okay, hang on. Let me pull over again. Maybe let's do this I'm literally holding the phone on the air vent. Okay. I love you guys for still being here. Okay, so what were we saying? Oh, that it's not, so you have to deal with the noise of the vents, because otherwise, yeah, it just keeps on getting too hot. So maybe we can turn it down a little bit. So the point is, we have to learn, everybody has to learn to vibrate your way into, like, it has to be a resonance of understanding. Like, if you vibe with someone, there's a reason, right? If you get around someone and you feel uncomfortable around that person, there's a reason, right? So these are all of the things that, you need to start understanding what to do. Like, even foods to eat, life is a function of vibration, right? Do you vibe with it or do you not? I mean, we use that in a light way, but that's really what it means, right? Do you resonate with that vibration or do you not? So this is what, oh, here, I can take my sunglasses off since we're here in the shade. So do you resonate with it or do you not, right? And so that's how you know. That's how you know if something's for you. Like, you can muscle test too. That's how life works that way. You have to figure out if you resonate with things or not. So, okay, my arm is so tired from moving that I really can't hold my phone on on the vent. Let's see. Maybe it'll be fine up here now. Look at, like, this crazy car, you guys. Okay, so but I'm trying to think of what else I wanted to tell you guys. We're doing this in the middle of a move, so we're dealing with all the things and the hair and everything. But it's important, and I feel strongly about these things. Why? Why do I feel strongly about it? Because we're all in it together. And so the more people that are misinformed, disinformed out there, the longer this shit is going to take, right? For us to manifest our new earth and our new life. And so this is why I feel strongly about it and why you feel this fire. So whenever you see this stuff and it makes you feel uncomfortable, okay, ask yourself, like, go in your heart, meditate, ask yourself, is this actually true? And in my life, I told you in the other live, growing up with being half in Catholic school and then going to LDS church on Sundays, I really had to pay attention to how I felt inside, because I was like, what in the hell? How many gods are there, right? So I was confused very young, which is how I have learned the power of discernment and the power of understanding my own personal guidance system very early on. And then to me, it became a matter of life and death, because I literally moved to another country where I didn't speak the language, right? From Italy, I came to the United States when I was 15 years old because I knew I had to be here. And now we know why. It's for this moment in time, right? Because I had to, everything that I've learned, finding my mentor, finding the things that are available here, has led to this moment, which is exactly why I'm here. Like, this is exactly why my show showed up. And it wouldn't have happened had I stayed in Italy, okay? And literally at 15, I mean, thank God my parents are religious people and they believe in God, and they do have like a, very strong sense of things. And so when I was 15 years old, I literally told my parents, I got to move to the States. They're like, are you nuts? And I said, talk to God about it. Like, talk to God and God will tell you. And they did. And they were like, oh my God, you got to go to the States. And I was like, I told you. So this is literally my life. Okay. And then when I was here, it was me and this right here, because you know what? Like, you go to high school here in the United States, you don't speak English. People are not very nice. I don't understand how that is, but that was rough. That was like, high school was an eye opener of how society works, in the US. And not necessarily for me, because like, I didn't even speak English. I kept to myself. I had my own journey, but like, I saw things that were happening in high school, and that was really like, whoa for me, because in Italy as a country, that doesn't happen. In Italy as a country, it's all of the people against the government. That's how they function. So it's like everybody cheating on them tests, right, to pass the test, like to make everybody, like, it's a different system. Here, everybody is like, don't even, like, I'm not helping you and I'm not helping you. So I had a lot of adjustments to make. That this is just to say, I had to learn how to function by myself, with myself, in another country, without speaking the language. Guess what? Me and God got like this. We got super close, right? Me and my higher self, we like this. What are we doing? Am I going right? Am I going left, right? Everything had to be guided. And so I learned how to work that guidance system really early on. Does that mean I always made good choices in my life in my 20s? Probably not. Absolutely not, right? But like, we're here having a human experience. But you learn, and everything adds up to where you are and how you know what you know. And so just like when I was a kid, when I had my first understanding of God, and I was 12, 13 when I was fighting these fights with my parents, literally fighting fights with my parents, it was about God. Because when you have an understanding and you know beyond doubt, you cannot be told something different, which is the thing, is like when you have a direct experience of that which we call God or prime creator of the universe, right? You can't be shaken. This is why our ancestors, like the witches, would be burnt at their stakes for their beliefs. I mean, do you guys realize, like, back in the days, people would be like, and even still now, people get interrogated and tortured and like all that stuff for their beliefs, right? So ask yourself, when you listen to people, would these people really stand by the shit that they write? Right? Because I sure as hell know how it works on the other side. Like, I always say this to my friends when we're like, some of my girlfriends or like people that are around me, they don't necessarily understand all of these things, but they have a good concept of it, obviously, because, circle of people. And, and I always say, well, I feel really good about like what happens after, or they always come and ask me like, when people die, what happens, or like these kinds of things. Because, right, I know what happens on the other. I'm very freaking clear about how it works. I know where to go. I know the roads. I know the pathways. I know the places. I know who to call on, right? I know these things. And when you have that, when everything could be taken from you, but you still know how to do the things, where to go, how to call for help, how to manifest your highest alignment no matter circumstance, that's power. Right? That's when you know that you're like really truly in charge of yourself, like showing up, and you're just like, there's a safety, there's an alignment, there's an empowerment in that, where you're just like, I got this, right? You could be put in any circumstance at any time in any place, and you know how to get guidance, how to move forward. And so again, back to the conversations with my friends, it's like, they always say, well, you're probably a witch in another life. Well, I'm sure that, we've all had those past because we had to, whether they were actually real lives or imprinted lives, which is a whole other conversation. But the fact is, are you ready to stand up for the shit that you believe in, right? Like, do you know what's on the other side? Do you really know? Do you really see? Do you know what's going on? And it's like, yeah, I mean, for me, you can't tell me otherwise. I've experienced this shit, and I've experienced the miracles in my life constantly, consistently. So there is, like, it can't be taken away from me because it's a part of me. Does that make sense? It's not something that somebody else says. That's why I feel so strongly about it. And that's why my deepest wish is for all of you. And look, as I'm saying this, it's 33. That's the number of the ascended masters being with you. See? So it is like when you live life in harmony and in alignment and in symphony with the universe, right? There's no being scared because you learn how to flow with the universe. You learn the rules, like you naturally evolve. You have to, because your soul pulls you. When you're in alignment with your soul pulls you. Like some of you guys literally have messaged me recently saying like, I feel like my soul is wanting to go outside of my body. I don't understand what's going on, right? That's literally your soul calling you. Like you have to like look beyond you, right? And there are things to do. And of course, I always help with all these things. But anyways, my loves, don't get scared when you see that stuff, okay? Always know you can fact checked for yourself. Get in alignment and fact checked. Anything that doesn't feel like it's in alignment with your core beliefs, get them. In fact, if I was to leave you with anything at all from this, is get very clear on your belief systems. Okay, what do you know for sure? What are the ground rules? What are the things that you know for sure? What are the things that you oh great, my neighbors are like walking by with the dog. Here's the girl with the that does the lives in the car. It's great. My neighborhood, going to be great. We're all going to be friends. But get very clear on what you know for sure, okay? And how you want things to show up for you, and to understand how you want that information to show up for you, okay? So when you're clear on that, then reality has to align with that. It just does. These are like part of the rules, okay? All right, so I love you guys. I hope this was helpful. I'm gonna go and clear out my car. Also, look, I'll never get tired of this. I bring it with me everywhere. This is my very first, I don't know if you can see it, my very first Moon Babes homemade sign. When I was doing events in person, I was like, oh my gosh, I just have to do this. And we did the first meditation ever where I taught people how to ground in to the earth and to the heavens, okay, which was like so revolutionary. Like, what is it, 4 years ago now? In one of my best friends' backyard, I said, people have to learn these things. Let's do this. Let's gather people and let's teach them things. And that's how Moon Babes was born. And I made my very first homemade sign. So yeah, it's a journey and you learn through it, but stay with it and build your beliefs. That's really your core beliefs is like the most important thing. That's like your own library of knowledge. Those are the things that you take with you no matter where you are, right? So get very clear on that stuff. And then we'll do more things coming up. I hope this was helpful. There will always be people that talk shit. There will always be opposition. That's the nature of the world we live in, right? So use it as to push off and fly higher, right? Push it as use it as leverage, because the energy works that way, right? Like positive and negative, like push out of it and rise higher, rise above it. Always learn what's truth and what's not. And if something feels like there's some truth to it, but there's some fear in it, that's like, you can always sniff it. If it sounds like, and feels like it comes from fear, not your thing. You don't even have to intake it, right? It's much more important that you meditate than you read the people's posts that keep on sharing, everybody's shit and have no real, alignment in what they're doing. And there's a lot of people that are sharing really good things, and there's a lot of people that are in alignment with their own stuff, but it may just not be your alignment. So be very careful. Does that make sense? Like, if you're here and you're listening to me and you're resonating with me, this is because we're part of that soul family group. And so you are here to do this work, which is the work that I came here to do, which is for New Earth, right? So if you're here, we are the change makers. We are the rule breakers in terms of we're not here to conform with this reality. We are here to create the new one. We're here to create the new world. We're here to create the new earth. We're here to literally begin that transformational process inside of our physical body, where we actually hold so much light inside of our body that everything about our physical body changes to the light body. This is the job we're here to do. Not everybody has that job, but we signed up for a pretty damn cool one, if you ask me. So I love you guys. BYOB, build your own beliefs. I love that. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yes, you got to build your beliefs. That's the shit. That's where life manifests from. Okay. So you have to do that work. So I love you guys. Literally, we're talking about some of these super secret society kind of things that got twisted through the years. And this is, a lot of people are capitalizing about this in the mastermind tomorrow, module 7, which is so funny because it's 7 is the number of being on the path. And we're talking about all of the secret stuff. And the thing is, it got messed up through the years. And why do you think that people created secret societies to begin with? Because they weren't allowed to have power and understand certain things, right, to begin with, because the governments wanted to retain all the power. So then distortion. Secret society became bad. And now they twist everything. And that's how people are so confused, because they see a pentagram and they're like, oh my God, it must be the sign of the devil because the secret societies use it. Not accurate, okay? The secret societies and the people in the secret societies that do the bad shit or the dark side of things, they use that stuff in the dark side of ways, right? all the things in this life you can use for the light or you can use for the dark. So it depends on that. But a lot of these occult esoteric teachings have been tainted by the fact that the people that actually use them, you know, they show that they use them for the wrong reasons. But when you use them for the good reasons, man, life unfolds in a different way, right? So you just have to learn. So build. I love you guys. When am I going to see you? I'm going to see you for sure on Monday. I don't know. I have to finish this moving situation. Okay, look at all this. I got to go. I love you guys so much. Mwah. I will see you soon. Oh, and by the way, find free resources on my website. I always see, this is like my angels that are like, you can help. Go to moonbabetribe.com, okay? And if you have not done my free course, which is called the Energy Hack 101, how to ground, how to, like, you know, keep track of your own energetic field, that's important. There's also free meditations on there. There's also all sorts of things that are like, you know, from $4 to $11, whatever. Like, if you feel drawn to doing any of my work. But there's also a bunch of free stuff on my YouTube channel. There's meditations, there's astral travel, there's all sorts of, like, these, when we have these conversations, I do my best to download them and put them on YouTube, so you have them. There's live mini trainings on it. There's so much stuff. And then, of course, if you are drawn and if you feel called to working with me in any other way, then there's resources on my website for that too. Okay? I love you guys. Sonia G, Moonbabes and the Light Tribe, back to packing and in moving into the new house. I'll see you guys soon. Love you all.